Hello, you're watching Greenfield Community Television. My name is Bella Levavi, and I'm here today interviewing a longtime disability rights activist who's local to Montague. Welcome, Betty Tegle.
Thank you for having me here today.
Thanks for coming to GCTV.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, I just wanted to start if you could talk about your background and your education and how you just came into this identity as a disability rights activist.
Well, I actually am a graduate of University of Massachusetts, and I graduated with a Bachelor's of Arts degree and certified teacher. I ended up in a special ed classroom, and I taught for several years. I was a Special Olympics coach. I was a swim coach. I was a bowling coach, and then I moved into leadership. And so the last several years I've been studying with Mass Office on Disability and Architectural Access. And then I got involved in numerous groups that advocate for disabled on the state level. One of the groups is called Massachusetts Statewide Independent Living Council. This is a policy board, and I was appointed by the governor this past spring.
Wow.
I'm the
Governor Healy?
Yes.
Amazing.
I'm the Western Mass delegate. I'm also involved with CHAPA, which is a housing advocacy group. I'm also involved with Dignity Alliance of Massachusetts. And Dignity Alliance of Massachusetts, we write legislation, bills. For example, the wheelchair repair bill is on the table. And many people may not know, if you get a wheelchair by Medicaid, there's no warranty. So we're trying to get the legislation to have a warranty on wheelchairs. So that's the essence of it. And I've received the ADA Leadership Award from Montague several years back. I also work with Architectural Access in the town of Montague. And I've also worked with other businesses to work on ADA compliant. That would mean check their door width, electric doors, handicap parking, in compliance of 521 laws.
Great. So you have like such a extended background. Can you talk about some of your past projects that you've worked on?
Yeah, I've worked with many organizations on ADA compliance and making sure their handicap parking signs are in place. I've worked as a special ed teacher, as noted, to work on IEP. I also worked under the Federation of Children with Special Needs, and I was a hired disability advocate to help students in our county and the parents write their IEP service plan.
Great.
So, yeah, it's been a challenging year with a lot of projects going on. I do approximately 9 Zoom meetings a month. I go to Boston 2 or 3 times a year. I was in Boston in April with the numerous delegates and advocates to appeal to our senators to vote for such and such a bill.
Totally. Can you talk about special projects you're working on right now?
I'm working with the Dignity Alliance of Massachusetts. As noted, we are working on trying to pass the wheelchair repair bill.
Yeah.
Okay, and under CHAPA, we're trying to, which is Organization for Housing, I'm working on trying to get accessible housing, which means 70% of us are over the age of 40. And accessible housing would be, you'd have grab bars in your bathroom, the doorways will be wide enough for a wheelchair, you'd have a handicap parking space in front of your building. And I've been appealing as we build housing, to build those accommodations from day one. So elders have those accommodations. And as we age, we might have a broken leg, we need a grab bar in the bathroom, any number of issues. So that's part of it. And next week I have Massachusetts Statewide Independent Living Council is putting on a statewide picnic over in Gardner, and this is a huge celebration.
Awesome. So you asked to come on the show today because it's the 35-year anniversary of the Americans with Disability Act. I was wondering if you could talk about what this act and what it did for Americans nationwide.
Okay, 35 years ago, Americans with Disability Act was signed by President Bush on July 26, 1990. And the purpose of this legislation was to have disabled to have the same rights as able-bodied, whether it be in housing, whether education, access to buildings. And we're continuing to support that as many went to the rally on Wednesday at the State House, and we're also continuing advocacy to be sure that we support people in our community.
Great. Yeah, so you just mentioned that there was a rally on Wednesday. Can you talk about what happened in Boston?
Yeah, so many delegates, advocates, disabled went to Boston, some from Amherst and Boston, and I believe that from my colleagues, Mayor Wu was there, and we celebrated Americans with Disability, but we also have to make a pledge to continue our efforts to support disabled in our community.
Awesome. And how many people were at the celebration?
Approximately 1,000 people were at the rally on Wednesday. They came from every part of the state.
Great. That's so many people.
Yeah, it's a start to keep the education and information to the community about the need.
So I'm just curious if you can just back up a bit and just talk about what does it mean to be someone with a disability? It seems like a broad definition, right?
Yeah, it's anyone that has an impairment. It could be a physical impairment, could be a mental impairment, and their life is challenged as it is. They may have difficulty getting into a building. They may have difficulty getting services. And many of the organizations out here are to help provide support for them so they can live their daily lives.
Great. Let me just check my notes. So I guess I'm curious, as state and federal budgets are changing annually with elections, how are services that are for people with disabilities affected?
Well, let's just say after the signing of President Trump's bill several weeks back, I got numerous emails, messages from my colleagues from here to Boston about what do we have to address, or what are our concerns, and those issues are forever changing. Mm-hmm. There are cuts to a life path. There are going to be cuts, potentially a work requirement for Mass Health, and work requirement for SNAP, benefit cuts. We will know the full impact in 2026 when all these cuts take place, whether it's the state cuts or the federal budget cuts, because all the budgets are being discussed and approved as we speak.
Can you talk about some local groups that people could support if they're interested in helping people with disabilities?
Yeah, there's numerous groups out there. I'm affiliated with numerous groups as partners in this work. They include, are not limited to Starvos, Boston Center for Independent Living, Mass Rehab has a stake in this, Disability Law Center has a stake, and we all work collaboratively to support the needs in our community. And if anybody has a special need or special request, go to any number of service agencies and they could probably help you with any number of things.
I guess I'm curious, why is fighting for disability rights important?
Because all of us will be needing support now or in the future. And that will mean support to get to your doctor's office with a wheelchair, support for home care, support in the schools under the Americans with Disability IEP process. And we all want to partake in society. We all need our medical care. We all want schooling. We all want to meet our needs, to go to a library, accessible library, to attend a forum, listen to a concert, to partake in this community as equal opportunity.
Great. So is there anything else you want to add?
I just want to thank you, and like I said, if folks need support, feel free to contact any number of organizations. Stavros in Amherst is a wonderful organization. They actually, believe it or not, there are organizations outside of Greenfield that can support you. Mm-hmm. Stavros used to have an office here in Greenfield, but now have one in Amherst. They're well known to support our community, and it's been wonderful to experience the camaraderie with my colleagues on a common issue, mm-hmm. To work together on any number of issues. And all my meetings are in Zoom, mm-hmm. because of colleagues in Boston, Amherst, and it's a wonderful experience to hear not only what's happening at the legislation, but to share that information with me and to work collaboratively, what are my needs in my community, and to share my concerns and bring them back to Boston and say, you know, we need to work on accessible housing, we need to work on the wheelchair repair bill, whatever the issue may be. But I like to think that I'm the voice for Franklin County, mm-hmm. and that I don't represent individual cases anymore. But surely if somebody sees me on the street and say, Betty, what do you know about food stamps? I can give them the resource. Or Betty, what do you know about weatherization? Or what's the contact for Stavros? I can surely point them in the right direction, because we want to support everybody that has an interest in taking care of themselves or their neighbor, their friend, or elderly mother.
Great. Well, thanks for speaking up for the community.
I thank you very much for your help and appreciate your support.